Tina Glory Jordan.
Present.
Curtis Snell.
Here.
David Thornton. Kara Callan Watts.
Aye.
Councilor Stowe, would you do the invocation for us, please?
Stand. Dear Father, Lord, creator of all things, we come to you this morning, Lord. We just thank you for this beautiful day you've given us, Lord. We just pray that you would bless our hearts, Lord. Bless our people. Bless those that are in need, Lord. I just pray that you would watch over us, guide and direct us in all things, Lord. Just be with those that are overseas, Lord. Be with all our veterans. Be with all our leaders in the United States, Lord, in our Cherokee Nation and throughout the world. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. I want to thank all the council and committee members for getting here. 9 o'clock is kind of hard to make for some of them. Anyway, I don't see any visitors in the audience that we don't know, so we'll just move right along with approval of minutes. Do I hear a motion?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. We'll just move right into reports. I know we have your report normally, but please come forward and you may have some more stuff.
Good morning, you guys.
Good morning.
Don't be mean to me today. Rick. Well, I will stand by my report, and the only thing that I have in particular is that at the last time we were together, there were some questions about headstones I think that Councilman Snell had raised. And I wanted to let you know that Jerry's having a little trouble getting some absolute information from the folks he had talked to you about on a headstone that had the Cherokee Nation seal engraved on it. But what he's found out is that those have now, I think he told you they were $85, they're $95. If there would be a situation where they were ordered in large quantities, and I really don't know what that means, they haven't told us yet, the price could come down. I brought an alternative, very inexpensive. This is one of the bricks that we have that we use for the Warriors Memorial that you've all seen. We sell these bricks for $25 through the Veterans Office, and they don't cost us that amount, but the difference in the cost and I guess you would say the profit, although we don't look at it that way, goes to support some of the things we need to do to upkeep the Warriors Memorial. But with that said, what I've been told is that the brick as you see it engraved, and I think it's 15 characters, 3 lines with, I think it's up to 15 characters a line with this company, costs $9 if you provide the paver. If you buy the paver from the company that engraves, I think it's another $3 or $4. Don't quote me, but I don't think it'd be over $15. So to me, this is a lot better than a rock. It would need to be set on some type of concrete riser or base, which shouldn't cost too much. Not sure how much a bag of concrete costs these days, or if that's what you'd use, but I think it costs about $3 or $4. So probably for $20, you could have a marker for someone. And they do come in different colors, and of course if the person provided their own paver, they could do it in whatever color they wanted. So I think this is a very reasonable alternative that we could make our citizens aware of. We can send them off and have them engraved just through like we do with the veterans, so we already have that in place. Or we can supply them with the information when Jerry gets some more final details on it, on the stones that probably going to cost about $95. And those don't have to have a base. I think that's correct.
Yes. Do you have the size of those $95 stones?
I don't, but Mr. Snow, you all have some for your family. Do you remember what the size is?
I don't remember the exact size. They're like 18 by 14, something 18 wide. Pretty large little stone.
Is it like 6 inches thick or something like
4
that?
inches.
4 inches thick. Okay.
The only problem I would see with that would be if it's not set in concrete, or another
On a
base.
rise, it has to be on a rise base. Yeah, a raised base.
I would see that, probably them may get like the little rock we set by a grave. Sooner or later they're going to be tossed aside and put in mold or whatever.
They could, but I think if you sit it in cement, it should be there for a while. All those stones that I'm familiar with over time, I've got some I still go out in my family and set up right and try to seal around every once in a while, but they're very old.
Yeah, but you're one of very few. most of them that I see is, they was put there at one time. And,
Right, right.
after 100 years, they're not taken care of.
But I do
Or
think,
50 years.
yeah, this is a good alternative to a rock. And if people can't afford, anything else, they can do this and feel good about it, I guess. So,
That's fair.
And I'm not suggesting it, but they also have, I believe they're 15 by 15 or 16 by 16 papers as well.
there are, and there's a 12 by 12, I think.
I don't know if they are 12 by 12.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, I'm sure they come in all sizes.
but there are larger papers that you would have to do the, engrave the whole thing, but it would be more substantial and something that would see them that they wouldn't put in their pockets or,
And I think I saw one I was looking on the internet for some alternatives, and I saw one that was a 12 by 12, I believe, not remember how many characters, but I believe it ran around $39. Now, we can probably get, I would think, maybe locally a little bit better.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about just the papers and still having them engraved the same.
So I think there's some
Below that
alternatives out
stuff.
there, but I would expect this is the cheapest right here.
Councilor Stamp.
The next commission meeting, I'll bring one of those little stones.
Okay?
We can have a look at it.
Any more questions for Norman? Norman, anything else?
Yeah, I just had a comment, Chairman. I appreciate the success stories in your report. That's always kind of uplifting to read about those things and the interaction there between that group and the community. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Well, we thought that you needed something to get your teeth into, so we're going to try to continue doing that. And for those of you who have looked at it, the young man that's going to be a page at the House of Representatives has been in our custody since he was about 8 years old. And he's doing great. He scored the high points at the Sequoia game at the big house the other night. We're extremely proud of him, and he's really come alive the last couple of years. So couldn't be prouder of that young man. He's a very, very wonderful man.
And I was wanting to do the same thing, Norman. Those are really uplifting stories that you put in here. And this is the first one I remember that you've done.
We did it
Those are
once.
good stories.
We did it last
Did you?
month, and I guess we do it a little bit. We're trying to get our staff to recognize what they're doing, because as you go day to day so fast, you don't really realize you're making a difference. So
I'll
we're
tell
now
you-
saying, tell us.
I'll tell you, the first story is what caught my eye too, because we're in this peril stuff, and if you give these Indian people a chance, they can thrive on some stuff. So this is a good story.
The Mays
Thank you
County
for it.
project has been, to me, a great success, which we'll continue to try. They work with a lot of families and do a lot of really good things, and we're seeing some things I didn't think we'd see for 5 to 7 years after 3 years. So I'm very, very proud of what's happening up there also, and I appreciate your appreciation of those stories. So we'll keep those coming.
Any more questions for Norman?
Norma, could you check on that child support thing that I talked to you about the other day? Still don't think it's been resolved.
Okay. One person didn't call back. The one
First one.
did never called back, never made contact, to my knowledge. Now that, I was called a couple of days after that they never called back.
He called me again
Okay.
and said he still needed help.
Will you remind me of his last name when we get through? Or would you do that? Because I get a lot of names, and I'm sorry, I can't get that right there.
Okay.
Any more questions for Norman? Thank you, Norman.
Thank you.
Arthur. Charlie, we've got your report. It was a good, long, good report. I really enjoyed reading that report. If you have anything you'd like to tell us, take your time.
No, not really. I just put a felony report will be submitted, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm pleased the way things are moving along, and it's good. And I've got people moving into new homes, and we've got people getting water, and people getting ready to raise gardens, and all the good stuff that's supposed to happen in the springtime, so it's out there. Unless any of you have any questions.
I do have a question, Charlie. There was home over, and I'm not sure where it is, but we were gonna take the home back because the participant didn't do any work and it's just kinda gone. I'm wondering, how do we do that? Who's got the land? Do we?
In that particular case, if I'm not mistaken, the one you're talking about, it's, we purchased the land, and there's a process we go through, and actually what we do is we make contact with them and encourage them to work on the home, and we also understand that some of the families probably don't have as much time as some of them, and we assist them as we can, but it gets to a point where that they have to take over really and taking responsibility for completing the home. So we work with that particular family numerous times, and sometimes it's just I don't know if it's, I should say, impossible, but I think a lot of it has to do with their attitude and their it's just something that been difficult to work with them, and again, like I said, our staff has worked with them and visited with them numerous times, so it's almost like it's not good when the public sees that the house is not progress, and actually the responsibility really lies with the people that's building the home, but it also makes the nation look bad. So we try to balance that out and trying to encourage the homeowners to complete their homes. So that's, I know what you're talking about. Is that up in Harris County that you want to be talking about?
I know I was talking to Councilor Hoskins yesterday, and he said that they were doing one over Bonita in an area, and he said people are really watching that house as it goes up, and I think he said they're doing a good job.
But the others are moving along real well, and but this there's always one or two, and that's one that's always there. But I think, like I say, the final result is that we do put people in nice homes, new homes, and that's the end result that we want. But we will. This is really to let them know that we are serious about them completing their homes, and hopefully that they'll take it serious and start working on their homes again.
I know we talked about the stimulus package yesterday for water and sanitation. I guess from my point, Charlotte, I really want you, or our department or your department, to keep in mind some of these water lines that we need to make sites. And Briggs is one that we really just kick that thing around. So if there's anything we can do to help that system, I see now the time that we can help them. And then I mentioned yesterday the standpipe over at Kenwood, and I'm sure Billy Hicks has probably already got that into the SDS system.
On the list, yeah.
Good.
Because I've had some concerns about that now for several years about Kenwood water tower, and we're doing everything we can to help them.
Good job.
They've gone to find out pressure to us for the Briggs, so. And he's in there quietly like that.
Already did a pretty good job.
Yeah, we did move along pretty good on that deal.
Yes, sir.
We did really well.
Good.
But we do have Kenwood in our scope, so it's looking good.
Okay, Charlie. Is there any more questions for Charlie? Good. Yeah, Councilor Smith.
Sorry, how about that water tower that's over at Moody?
Move it, okay.
Or Terrasada, back on Hill and Terrasada? South of
I think
Terrasada?
so. I think Billy has mentioned that. We talked about that briefly, and I think it's we're going to be able to, hopefully, with this stimulus package and some of the IHS funds, it's probably on the list. I have to say at this point, I really don't know.
I can help.
Yeah.
We helped with that, and it was designed in such a manner to have enough water that they're working on a contract now with Oaks to serve them as well, and from that water tower, and it's got enough capacity and everything that they can extend on and take care of that. In other words, they overbuilt for the end of the line, but they had in mind, extending on that Oaks Power water tower. And they're, I don't know if they signed the contract, but that was just a meeting where they made the proposal, and the water district here was sitting there agreeing to sell them water at a reasonable price so that they could extend water on the Oaks. Is that what you meant?
That's what I.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Councilor Rock.
I think he was responding though. Were you going
No, go ahead.
because I've kind of been, we understood there was issues. I've talked to you about like the folks in my community and stuff. when I've tried going up there. So at some point, do we give up on them and we reissue that to new families, or what happens?
Yeah, we'll go back to our application file and select somebody else for that, yeah.
Thank you.
Charlie, there's one other thing, and I just wanted to bring it to your attention. We were doing an extension here from, I think it's RW3 going down Stevie Hollow Road. There's a bunch of that pipeline on Highway 59 there, and I'm just wondering what the status of that is. I know for a while they were having some problems getting an easement for that one person across from, where the creek runs across the highway there, but I've noticed it out there. It's been out there close to a year.
Okay, we'll check on that, and
I was
what
in
we'll
that-
do is, Harley will go back and pick that up, and let the water district, take charge of it.
And that was a really good project to have that water up and down the road there, but I don't know.
I think you worked on that project, didn't you, Harley?
Pardon?
I think you worked on that when you were here.
Yeah, it was coming in about right.
Yeah, it was a good project.
I got Mr. Becker then.
Yeah. I was at that meeting as well, and they've had a great deal of difficulty crossing there at McSpadden Falls without doing any damage, and the engineer reports, and I think they've about got it worked out to where they can cross that lady without doing any damage to the old waterfall, but it's all solid rock to a point, and they want to go back around behind her house, and she wasn't wanting it, but I think they've got that resolved as well, and they're working on engineering now so that they can complete that project.
And it would be a good project to get that water up and down the road there. But Councilor Jordan, you had a question?
I actually think they just bid that out.
Did they bid it out? Okay.
It's got 8 crossings to it.
Okay.
Any more questions from Mr. Schultz? Thank you, Charlie. Good report. David Sutherland's up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Marvin sent me an email just a few minutes ago. I just want to let you all know that he did receive a letter from HUD yesterday late and it confirmed the amount of the stimulus for Nahasda. We want to let you know that. And then there'll be instructions on how to access the funds in 10 to 15 days. So that's really real close to making a difference, I think, in the community. Ms. Fishing Hawk asked yesterday how many we had done. In the rehabs, emergencies, and accessibilities, 185 as of the end of February. I just want to let everybody know that my office is out here now, and I got a new phone number, and I don't know what it is. No, I'll tell you what. 453-5248. And I've just about got to where I can remember it. So, one other thing is, a month or two ago, there was some info sent on Gord Lane, Mankiller Circle, which is north of town up here in addition. We are assisting that group along with water and sanitation, but that's, I don't know that I've got a timeline, but Billy's working with those folks to get that done. So we're able to find money to help them out with that. And that's pretty much all I was going to report this morning.
David, I do have a question for you, and I know we kicked this around mostly in our work group about these houses going for repossession, through the court system, and I don't know exactly where that's been assigned to start looking into that, but do you have any input on that as to for picking those up?
Let me make sure I've got the discussion centered around mortgage assistance houses.
Yes.
Okay. Where we're at right now is there's a budget that I've submitted. It's like $2.2 million.
Okay.
I don't believe it was in that mod last night. I believe it'll be in the executive finance later this month and then for April. But yes, it's going to be a combination of working with real estate. Once we identify the house and make a determination if it's a good investment. We will also have funds in there to rehab that house if it needs it, with the idea being that we're going to get this thing back for below market value and we can make somebody a good deal on it. But we're in the budget's been submitted, and I'm the guy. I didn't really know who was going to end up with it, but we had a meeting a few weeks ago, and I got it.
Well, that's good. The other thing that, and I've brought this up, and been several other people bring this up, David, is on the mortgage assistance program or acquisition housing is on the inspection of it. Yesterday, Councilor Fulbright is not here, but she had related to me that there was some problems with a mortgage assistant home down in, the person had been in it 8 months, and they just give up. They want to get out of it because there's problems with it. So hopefully that, we've said this thing enough that we're, we've got some, I don't want to say qualified, I'm sure we have qualified people doing it, but.
Well, we've made some changes a few months ago, and somebody goes, picks out a house, especially this particular family, we'd already turned them down on one. And this house is a fairly nice house. It's got an older portion and a newer portion. But anytime you buy an old house, it's going to have some problems. And there was one problem that I would have been upset with. I don't blame them for being upset. But we didn't know it when we bought it and inspected it. There was only one person living there at the time, and they didn't have any problems with the sewer. Well, you put 5 people in the house, a lot more water, and we determined that there's a busted pipe underneath the street. And it's ours. It's not the city's. It's our portion of it. I don't know how it got under the street, but there's some problems. We've already made some changes. We closed on a house, or I closed on a house last week. It was the 3rd house that this lady chose. We just wouldn't. We're being a lot more stricter. Now, this is on the assumable mortgage program, not the regular MAP, but this particular one. So we're going to work with that family and try to get them into something they're going to be happy with. If they're not happy with it after 8 months, they're not going to be happy with it, in 2.5 more years when they have to assume it. So, but we have made some changes in the inspection process, and I'm hoping that the problem is you get some of these communities like Salisaw, getting to find the price range that somebody can afford. There's not a whole lot of new houses out there. They're all going to be.
Councilor Watt.
Thank you, Mr. Sheriff. A couple of things. When people come in and they don't qualify because of income for our loans, do we let them know about Section 184 HUD loans in the private sector? Because those are up to $300,000 for a home, right?
There's no the income guidelines are a whole lot different. The amount they can borrow is a whole lot higher. But yes, they let them know about 184. They even give them a list of the approved Section 184 lenders.
Because I've actually had at least one family come tell me that Section 184, they were able to refinance their existing home under and keep them out of foreclosure or bankruptcy. When they first came out with 184, they didn't allow refis, but now they do. 184s, they're real proud about the amount of foreclosures on those is really, really small. So they do a good job up front of making sure those families can afford those. And then on a different subject, how are you working with career services? Because I identified the budget for Section 3 compliance. Are you making sure that is there to help you because that budget's relatively untouched?
Back at the end of the last fiscal year, working real close with John, who's kind of their point person on Section 3, along with procurement, Becky Mitchell and some of her folks in HR. Here's the problem with Section 3. We were on a roll to get it going real good, and then they go to a workshop, some of the procurement staff, and what do they say at the workshop? Doesn't apply to inventory. Doesn't apply to this. And there's a room full of HUD people sitting there. So it kind of tailed off. But we need to be doing something with Section 3. I got a meeting right after this.
Do we have a ruling from HUD yet on what that really means? So that's part of it was what clouds the issue.
Yeah, it's not clear, but we've, like I said, at the end of last fiscal year, the administration determined that, this is how we interpret it. This is what we're going to do. Let's get it implemented. We have a draft policy to implement. It's just lacking some procedures. This was brought up a couple of weeks ago, and I think that we're back on track to get that policy implemented. I mean, it's to give preference in Section 3. You don't necessarily have to give you bid, you got Section 3, you get an advantage. It's providing information on how to hire people. There's different ways to give preference and comply with the law, and we need to be doing that.
Can we use that budget for training dollars?
Could be, yeah. I think that was the intent, was to use it for a combination of things. And one of the big things is outreach to vendors.
Seeing money go unused.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
David, I have another question, is with the stimulus money coming down, do you feel like, and maybe you don't know the question, but do you feel like you have enough contractors, Indian-owned contractors, to get in there and do the work for our rehab?
If we can take advantage of all of them, we can't just limit it to a few through the bidding process.
Okay.
As long as we bid it in the correct manner to where folks can, and we need to be careful. If somebody bids and they have more than they can handle, we shouldn't be awarding them more bids until they get those completed. So I think there will be.
Okay, any more questions for David? Thank you, David. Moving on with the agenda and the old business, I see none. Moving to new business. Norma, are you going to be, this is the elder care grant over in Stillwell?
Yes.
You might just give us a quick overview of this thing, or where we are on it, and the timelines on it.
Okay, what we're doing is we're applying for the ICDBG grant, which is about $800,000 to help with construction of the second PACE facility in Stillwell. And we had applied for this, I think 3 years ago, I think in '06. And at the time, we didn't have the one built here in Tahlequah. And they told us that they liked the concept, but they weren't going to, they wanted us to reapply when the one in Tahlequah was up and running. That's kind of the gist of it. Probably wasn't worded that way, but that was. So now that we have Tahlequah up and running, we're looking at applying to help with the expenses of building that facility. Now the facility, I think I probably told you all this, but I'll tell you again, what our concept is for Stillwell is that we're in desperate need of a child care center over there. We've been waiting for some land so that we can start that. We're going to build these. It'll be under one roof, but it'll be half child care, half PACE, with two common areas that are shared. One is the commercial kitchen. They're very expensive to build. So if we build one kitchen that both can use, we've saved some money for both programs. The other is a common area where both programs can use it individually, but also it's a time we can bring the children in with the elders to do intergenerational activities, which really helps both sides very well. So we feel like we're getting more bang for our buck. Now, you won't see that in here because we can't apply for the whole thing, but this will be for the side that is just for PACE.
Okay. Councilor Barr.
I'm curious, will that require background checks on those elders then?
Might. Now, they will be separate, and they'll be very well supervised. So they won't be able to go over at that time. So, good point.
Thank you.
Right. Well, safety is always our number one concern. So, I know that Lori will be watching that very carefully.
They all look warm and cuddly as they get older, but...
Norma, you
It is
said,
A.O. County.
No comment.
Joe was paying attention.
Mr. Chairman, I haven't heard that many heinous things perpetrated by folks my age and older. It's mostly younger folks.
It knows no age limit, let me tell you.
But Mother Nature and Father Time takes care of a lot of that.
I don't know, I just heard a story the other day that you wouldn't want to hear about a real old guy.
Better your age.
No.
Thank you.
Norma, this
Sorry.
this sounds like a good concept. I think we're all are concerned about safety values, and I think that you're taking that into consideration. The other question I have is the cost of the PACE Center. Do you remember what this can cost here in Tahlequah? I'm just curious as for the.
We built this one for $1 million and change. I can't tell you what the change was.
So if we get the grant on the 800,000, it's going to take the bulk of the
Well,
construction, except for the Head Start.
I'll tell you, we're getting some bids and they're really high right now. But we think that by the time we work through our contractors, when we get, you know, the funding. And I will tell you this, we're in this stimulus package, we're asking for funding for the whole shebang. So this is, we're really looking at two ways to address this, because we do need help. Lori has some money she saved through the carryover she's able to do to get the child care started. So we've got to get the child care facility started. And so our thoughts are we can build the child care facility and build it in a way that we can marry on the extension, you know, quite easily. It can be built with that in mind. So we've got, and my mother always said there's more than one way to skin a cat. So we've looked at skinning this cat in several ways. So this is one way. And if you haven't noticed, the in-kind matching will be the land that the tribe provides.
Ms. Baker.
What are the income guidelines for PACE?
Well, the average PACE person receives both Medicare and Medicaid, okay? So that means their poverty level.
Yeah.
However, if you have a person who wants to participate in PACE and they're above the poverty level and they have Medicare, Medicare will pay part of the cost, but that person would have to pay the part that Medicaid would cost, okay? Costs you now about $3,000 to be in a nursing home. It would probably cost you about $2,000 for the private share or the Medicaid part that a person would have to pay themselves if they're over income. So that's still a pretty good deal because you get to stay at home and you're saving $1,000 and you're probably a lot happier than being in a nursing facility.
Well, I've had 2 or 3 people say, no, I make too much money, that they were really interested and yada, 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 but
Well, they need to go through and talk to DHS. Now, DHS is the one that does the income guidelines, but they can go in. There's always someone at the PACE facility that can talk to them and let them know that there's various ways that we can do this. But and you know, people can private pay if. There are people out there, a lot of people who retired to the lake and got sick now, and they have they had a pretty good nest. I don't know, just about all of us might qualify pretty soon. If your 401k looks like mine. But tell them if they have any interest at all, feel like they have a need for that service, please talk to someone. I've sent several people. They'll do a home visit and talk to those people. You can get a hold of me, I'll hook them up. Or
all right.
Okay. Any more questions for me? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Just a note on this one here, I'd like to have, and I think I've already expressed to Shelley as a co-sponsor, it was Joe Crittenden and Doug Fishmark on this resolution. Okay, number 2, the resolution authorized.
Wait, we haven't
Oh, I'm
motion
sorry.
or voted.
All right, let's back up a little bit here then. We'll do that. Do I hear a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. Okay, number 2 is a resolution authorizing the donation of 29 Sony PlayStation games consoles to the Cherokee Community Organization. I don't see anybody here that was going to talk about that, but I did talk to Ricky Gassaway the other day, and we talked about this and what these are some donations that was over in the warehouse. I take it they come from Jack Brown Center and other places within the nation here. And so Ricky saw those over there and he thought, well, what are they going to do with them? So they were going to just put them out to excess. So he asked if he could get them, and he did. So in order for us to give them to the community centers, we have to have a resolution to do that.
Second.
Move and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh,
No, wait.
Jack Baker.
Yes.
Already voted.
Did I vote no? This resolution is, I'm for transferring the 29 place stations, but it limits it to within the Cherokee Nation and discriminates against our Cherokee community organizations outside the nation, so I'm going to oppose it.
Okay.
Are you going to re-vote, or?
Yes, we'll take another vote on it. All in favor, say aye. Oh, wait, hang on just a minute. I wasn't watching the hand here. Counselor Cobb.
How many Cherokee organizations, community organizations do we have total?
I don't know. Community buildings, we probably have. Do you know, Norma, how many buildings we have?
I don't know what the building, 40 popped into my head, 40, 45, maybe more, that are organized.
Mr. Chair, I was going to say, could we just take a count real quick? Because I know they have 3, right? And I have 1, so we're at 4. How many of you guys have at large?
We have 12, but I will add, if I may,
Sure, go ahead.
that I've heard from Rick Gasaway and Charlie Soap that it's in the neighborhood of around 60 locally,
Okay.
and then the 12 that are outside.
So there's 72?
72,
72.
something like that.
Well, I guess we'll leave it up to Ricky Gasaway how these will be distributed then. I don't know how we do it other than,
Well, we could give a third of each one.
yeah. But I think it's a good thing, instead of just letting these go to the, to an auction or someplace where we do get the benefits out of it. Before I ask for a vote again, do I have any more questions? Do you have questions?
Yeah, I think, one per, why would you, I guess, the old PlayStations, you don't have multiple gamers or whatever, so really probably just one per organization. I assume not everybody would even want 1, 2, so it'd probably end up being just about right. Maybe a couple would get an extra.
Well, I'm going to leave it up to the managers to decide how they're going to distribute it. All I'm concerned about is to get the resolution passed and we can distribute it. Jack, if...
But everyone will have the ability to request and be put in a fair opportunity at it.
Yes, I would think so. So I don't see Ricky here to talk to us how he's going to make that determination, but I'm sure we'll let him work it out. Okay, I'm going to call for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign.
Aye.
No, one no.
Mr. Jack Baker.
Contrarian.
Well, that looks like it ends us. Does anybody have an announcement for this committee? Seeing none, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you.